Welcome. Um, this is the second part of the essay writing class, and we're going to be talking about the length of an essay, then the different types of essays. So, first of all, how long is an essay usually? Um, Academic essays vary depending on your level and your subject of study, your your departmental guidelines and specific course requirements, and sometimes the teacher or the instructor of that class. Now, you always have to remember that an essay is shorter than a research paper or thesis, regardless of the fact that sometimes you could be required to write an essay of like 10 12 pages. A research paper or a thesis is way longer than that. So, in most situations, your assignment guidelines will be clear and will state the number of words or pages you're expected to write, but it's rarely an exact number, more like a range of words or pages. And if it's not clearly stated, you should probably check with your instructor. Now, you have to keep in mind that quality is more important than quantity, because honestly, if you lose the essence of your essay, your argument, or your analysis, and then you just keep trying to make the words more, you'll lose your reader and you will lose your marks. So you have to always keep that in mind when writing your essay. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try to hit the specific word count, but regardless of trying to factor that in, you should keep your argument, analysis, or main point in focus. Okay, so for this class, I think we're gonna use a purple highlighter or and pen. So yeah, purple. Next slide. Now, the length of each part of an essay. If you remember clearly, in the last class we did discuss the three parts of the essay. That is the body, the introduction, and then your conclusion, right? Now, your body usually takes up the most space in any essay, regardless of its type. And this is where you state your arguments, share your evidence, your ideas, and try and convince your reader if it's like an argumentative essay. Now, your introduction should be proportional to the essay's length. Now, you can't write an essay that's like, let's say, it's supposed to be 2,500 words, and your introduction is just one line. And the introduction for that same essay cannot be 3 paragraphs. Just 1 paragraph is fine. But if you're doing like a longer and more complex essay, you need to lay out the background. Like if you remember, in the last class, I did say that the introduction is where you lay out the background and introduce your argument or main point in the essay. So in longer essays, you will do this over 2 or 3 paragraphs. Now, the conclusion of an essay, regardless of its length type, is just a single paragraph most of the time, and it's just supposed to summarize your main points, and it's like your last chance to convince your reader or to convey your message, but it doesn't have to summarize every single detail that you mentioned in the essay. So we're going to talk about types of essay, starting with the argumentative essay. This essay presents an extended evidence-based argument, Now, it requires a strong thesis statement, which is a clearly defined stance on your topic. Sometimes it's on controversial topics, and sometimes it's just regular ideas that, or social constructs. Anyway, the aim is to convince your reader of your thesis using evidence such as quotations and analysis. Now, this conviction, when you're writing this essay, you have to be careful not to trample on the possible beliefs of the reader, because then you literally piss the reader off and they won't be interested in reading. The point again is you have to remember you're conveying your opinion. You're trying to convince someone to see things from your side of view. So there should be no passive aggressive approach to the writing. You should be mellow about like you leave room for the person's belief while strongly stating why you believe in what you believe in. Now, this kind of essay tests your ability to research and present your research in your own view and showing your opinion about a topic. Now, it's very common at university level, and most papers you write, like for assignments, would involve some form of argumentation. So basically, it's divided into an introduction, body, and conclusion, like every other essay, where the introduction provides your topic and thesis statement, the body presents your evidence and argument, and your conclusion summarizes your argument and emphasizes its importance. Now, to expository essay. An expository essay provides a clear, focused explanation of a topic. Now, if in the last class I did mention that there's similarity between certain essays, and the expository and argumentative essays are similar because you are required to have a pre-knowledge of the topic you are going to be discussing or writing about. But there's also a difference, because in the expository essay you do not require an original argument, meaning you don't need to have, it's really not about your view or your position on the topic. It's just a general, balanced, and well organized view of said topic. Now, the essay tests your familiarity with the topic and your ability to organize and convey information. So this is a common factor between expository and argumentative, just that the way you're conveying information varies, because this is just generic, while the argumentative, it's more specific and personal or original. And these essays are very common at high school level, or exam questions at university or college level. So in this type of essay, introduction states your topic and just provides a general background. The body presents your details. It's where you elucidate your facts and your your research, and then your conclusion summarizes all the information you presented. And the descriptive essay. This type of essay involves detailed and sensory description of something. Now, I'm just going to highlight that detailed and sensory, because really it can be it has similarities with the expository essay, and also the narrative essay, which we discussed in the last video. So a descriptive essay provides a story. It's, well, not a whole story, but it focuses on a particular theme or a place, and then you talk about that theme. You are allowed to be creative in this kind of essay than most essays, but not as creative as the narrative essay. And the descriptive essay tests the ability of the writer to use colorful and creative vocabulary and striking word choices, which is really important because you really can't go on with the same words. Like, let's say I'm talking about the Burj Khalifa. When I went to the Burj Khalifa, it was tall. The building was huge. It was big. I mean, it's the same thing over and over again. But if I say something, I could be like, the Burj Khalifa is an elegantly tall building when you're in it, like on the 127th floor. You are basically in the clouds. You can see the clouds. It's elegant. It's, describe it in ways that gives my reader a vivid and clear picture, like they were sitting there. So it's kind of personal in a way. That's the descriptive essay. So in the descriptive essay, you have some form of freedom to be creative, and it's less loosely structured. And you start with an introduction of the object of description, and then, well, your body is where you talk about that object, and then your conclusion, you end by drawing an overall picture of it all. Now, it's very important, like I said, to use careful word choices and figurative language. Now, you can use stuff like similes, metaphors, things that make it an original description, because using the Burj Khalifa description, I mean, you can read about it online. I mean, I had read about it online before I experienced it, but I read other people's descriptions of their own encounters with their own visits, and it did create a visual for me, but I experienced it while I was still sitting there. So that should be your point when you're writing a descriptive essay about something. Now, the narrative essay, I'm just gonna go into the little things that I didn't include in the previous video. Now, narrative essays also test your ability to display creative vocabulary and word choices, and the ability of the writer to build up a narrative in an engaging and well-structured way. Now, I mean, when you're telling a friend what happened at the cafeteria the other day, that's narrating something. When you're talking, there are people, let's be honest, there are people that when you're talking about something, you're just like, God, when are they gonna finish? Because, I mean, it's boring, it's not fun, it's not interesting. But when someone's talking and it's animated, it's like you're there, like you experienced it. Like, it's like a 3D view of you just being in it and just watching it. It's interesting. The same thing is applied when you're writing. You have to be personal and creative, and these skills that are required in writing a narrative essay are required for writing a personal statement for an application. Now, a narrative essay isn't strict like every other type of essay. It's technically still has the structure of introduction, body, and conclusion, but it begins by setting up the narrative, introducing we're talking about in an interesting way, captivating way, not disclosing everything at first go, but just dive, just giving your reader like little teeny bits of information, to keep them reading till the conclusion. And you finish that essay with an expression of the point of your story, what you learned from the experience, why it made an impression on you, why it's something so dear to you. So that's it. Now, there are other types of essays. Now, these types of essays, you'll probably notice like there's similarity between each of them, and they are more university level essays, and they are found in different departments. These are really split to different departments. So first we're going to look at the textual analysis essays. Now, this type of essay, like every other essay, tests your writing skills, but some essays also test your ability to read carefully and critically, and that's what this essay does. Now, here you don't just give or present your information about a topic, but you closely analyze the text and explain how it achieves these effects. In the rhetorical analysis essay, this looks at persuasive text. They are kind of similar. There's just these little things like this, for example. Persuasive text. Yeah. There's just little things that differentiate them from each other. Anyway, this essay looks at persuasive text like a speech or an essay or a political cartoon in terms of its rhetorical devices that were used and evaluates their effectiveness. So the point of this essay is not whether you agree with the author's argument, but to look at how they've constructed it. To look at it like an analysis of someone else's argumentative essay, and looking at not about whether you agree, but looking at how it was constructed. So here, the introduction presents the text, background information, and your thesis statement, which contains your which contains your thesis statement. Now this thesis statement is basically how your view on how the author constructed the essay. Now your body comprises of the analysis, which is just an expansion of your thesis statement, and then your conclusion wraps up your analysis and emphasizes on its relevance to broader concerns. Literary analysis essays. So, literary analysis essays are will probably be found in an arts department in a university. So, now, this kind of essay, what are you expecting to do? You're also going to closely involved this time a work of literature, and you're not going to analyze the choices made by the author, but my bad, sorry. You're not gonna, like analyze it like a book report, but you're going to give an interpretation of the text, which means you'll explore themes. Sorry about this. Which means you are going to explore their writing style, the literary devices they use, figurative language captures themes, and you analyze what the author conveys and how. They're all similar. It just depends on the text that they are analyzing. Now, The introduction of the literary analysis essay presents the text and background and provides that's the statement of the writer. The body consists of close readings of the text and the analysis in support of the argument. Well, the close readings of the text with quotations. Yeah, with quotations. And the conclusion emphasizes on what your approach tells us about the text. Now, how will I know what type of essay I'm going to write? I have been asked this by people, and at high school and in composition classes, you usually be told what type of essay you're going to write. But sometimes you'll be given prompts, and when you're given prompts, you have to look out for keywords that suggest the kind of essay you're going to write. So, yeah, that's this. So, explain would suggest that you're going to write an expository essay or elaborate. And in these prompts, you have to look for keywords that suggest the certain approach you're going to take to write the essay. Now, the word explain or elaborate. Yeah, elaborate means you're going to have to write an expository essay. While the word describe implies a descriptive essay, and describe like it's pretty close. Just remember this, and then you pretty much know what you're gonna write. Argumentative essay. Argue. You have the words assess or let's see. Tell. Express your opinion about. That means you're gonna write something like you're gonna write your argumentative essay. Then for a narrative essay, you obviously have narrate. You have tell. Now tell could actually work both ways for descriptive and narrative, but it's more you can find out which one you're writing, because if tell your reader or write about I'm just gonna write it here, write about something. That's the short form of something. So write about like an experience. That means you're gonna be writing a narrative essay. Or if someone says write about like a possession that's dear to you, that's going to be a descriptive essay. So those are the key things to remember when you're thinking of what type of essay to write. So thank you very much for listening, and see you next time.